All right, so now we get to more of the science on is 5G safe? So first of all, back in 1993, there was a TV broadcast in the United States. It was a famous broadcast station. And it was Larry King Live, and he was interviewing a man whose wife had died of brain cancer, and when the tests were done, the medical tests were done, the tumor was where she held her cell phone. And the next day, the telecommunication stocks declined. So what happened is that the telecom industry was trying to do damage control, and they funded probably the largest study in the world and it was overseen by Harvard School of Public Health, the Food and Drug Administration, the Environmental Protection Agency, and many other agencies. And what they found were biological effects, and they were potentially hazardous to human health. And this is back around 1995. When they found biological effects, what that means is that you don't necessarily have to feel the injury, but it is interacting with the cells in your body. And because this is cumulative, it may take a while for the injury to take place. And once the injury takes place, that may be too late. It may be reversible. Sometimes it is not reversible. And other times it's much more serious. In 2000, a major telecom carrier in Europe, and also that has a major branch in the United States, commissioned a study that found links to cancer, leukemia, neurological disorders, and cognitive impairment, and particularly with a special caution for children. That was leaked out. That was not made public. It was leaked out by a whistleblower, and we have a copy of that report. Next slide. So after that, in 2004, Swisscom applied for a patent. Swisscom is a major telecommunications company in Switzerland, and they applied for a patent to reduce the amount of electromagnetic radiation because of the high risk of cancer. That was very significant because this is a patent application, and they're already acknowledging that there are health issues, no question about it, in this patent application. And they said it was high risk of cancer. The World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer classified wireless radiation, and at that time it was 2G and 3G, as a possible human carcinogen, a class 2B possible human carcinogen in 2011. Some of those scientists are now calling the wireless radiation a human carcinogen. The National Toxicology Program, which is one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious toxicology program in the world, found clear evidence of cancer in 2011. And the Ramazzini Institute in Italy confirmed the same results in 2018. And unfortunately, our Food and Drug Administration ignored that and said that there's nothing to see here when there's clear evidence of cancer. Next slide. All right, so the Federal Communications Commission was sued by environmental groups, and they were ruled against they lost in court. The DC Circuit Court of Appeals in the United States, just under the US Supreme Court, stated that the FCC ignored 11,000 pages of scientific peer-reviewed studies showing biological effects below the FCC's wireless limits. And in 2019, the FCC ignored all of those studies, and the judges said no. The FCC did not act appropriately, and so they must go back and re-examine their emission limits. So the FCC was found to have been arbitrary and capricious in its determination. Now, this has become a shield for industry because so long as the FCC does not update its limits, as long as the carriers are operating within the FCC limits, there can be no legal remedy, no legal claims for personal injury from the wireless radiation. So it is extremely important. The FCC, that was back in 2021 when the court determined that the FCC acted inappropriately. And so since 2021, they have not updated their limits, and it's now almost over 3 years later. In 2019, there was a hearing of the telecom industry in Congress, and U.S. Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut asked them, is there any independent study being done on 5G? And the telecom executive said, none that we know of. So he said, we're flying blind here as far as health and safety is concerned. And that's exactly what's happening. And I believe that's also happening around the world as well. Then there was a state, New Hampshire, in the United States, formed a commission in order to study the effects of 5G, and they found harm to people and the environment below the FCC limits. And that was in 2020. Next slide. The European Parliament in 2021 received a report that they asked to be done on the health impacts of 5G. And it concluded that the commonly used radio frequency radiation frequencies of 450 to 6,000 megahertz are probably carcinogenic for humans, and they also affect male fertility. And there are possible adverse effects on the development of embryos, fetuses, and the newborn. In Sweden, there have been studies done, case studies on 5G towers and rooftop antennas, 5G rooftop antennas. And since January of 2023, there have been 8 case studies, every single one of them showing microwave syndrome of these people. And they have suffered from headaches, tinnitus, abnormal fatigue, heart arrhythmia, burning skin, trouble concentrating, and other ailments. Next slide.